Please welcome to the stage, from Gunnison Community Capital Group, Susan Wyman.
I'm Susan Wyman, the founder of Gunnison Community Capital Group. But some of you may recognize me from this summer's edition of Crested Butte Magazine, or maybe you've seen me at the Gunnison Farmers Market. And I have a 4-acre farm. I got to show you my farm. This is my farm in Gunnison. I raise pasture poultry and eggs and organic vegetables and cold hardy fruits. I'm also a hydrologist and engineer with Whetstone Associates, which is a hydrogeologic consulting company that my husband and I have owned and operated for 21 years. And Scott and I live on Pine Street in Gunnison with our cat, Samson, and our dog, Duck. And attached to our garage, we have an accessory dwelling unit. And the last time that accessory dwelling unit was available for rent, I put an ad in the Gunnison Shopper, and I received 26 phone calls in one day. That was 26 couples and families that were desperate for affordable housing, decent housing in the Gunnison Valley. And I didn't know who to rent to. I wanted to rent to every one of those individuals. So I rented to the first couple who called, and they turned out to be great renters. He works in maintenance for the town of Mount Crested Butte, and she works in housekeeping at the Gunnison Valley Hospital. So it's no secret that we have an affordable housing crisis in the Gunnison Valley. And the Housing Authority hoped that the private sector could come in and help solve the problem by building more housing, and that pace has been entirely too slow. And so one solution is to raise taxes and hire developers to build more housing. I'm not sure whether that's the best solution. I own 3 properties in Gunnison. Well, Scott and I own 3 properties in Gunnison. Our 4-acre agricultural farm, our house with the cat and the dog in the accessory dwelling on Pine Street, and it'll come, there it is, right? And our office property on Highway 50. And so, like many business owners and homeowners in the Gunnison Valley, I'm concerned whether raising taxes won't have an effect on businesses as well as potentially rising rents. So as a localist and a problem solver, I thought there must be better solutions to our affordable housing problem. Why can't we build housing with money that we already have? Why can't we pool our money and together solve the community's problems? Why can't we invest instead of being taxed? So enter Gunnison Community Capital Group. And before I talk about it, there's something really important that I need to say, and I got to get it straight because it really matters. What I'm telling you this evening is not a solicitation for investment. We are in the process of attaining regulatory approval through the Colorado Division of Securities, and until our direct public offering is approved, this should not be construed as a solicitation for investment. Whew. Now that I have that out of the way, let me tell you about our funds. Okay, so we have set up a sustainable housing fund, and this fund is focused on pooling our money to fund affordable housing and energy efficient structures. Here's an example. If I can get there, oh, there it is. So this is an example of the first almost net zero energy home that we are financing, and we'll be taking over the lien on that. So we're committed to accessory dwelling units, single family homes, multiple family homes, and small developments. And then moving on, our second fund is really exciting. It's the Business Builder Fund. So we are focused on supporting local small businesses with loans between $5,000 and over $200,000 to kickstart local small businesses with bright ideas and energy and talent through the Business Builder Fund. And if all goes well, and the direct public offering is approved, which we expect it to be, that fund may be open for investment in August, whereas the Sustainable Housing Fund may be open for investment in late July, but not yet. Okay. And then our third fund is the Microloan Fund. So the Microloan Fund is already in existence, and we make loans between $500 and $5,000 to individuals and professionals that need to jumpstart their profession with tools, equipment, or working capital. So we are so committed to local capital that we want to do everything we can to enhance and support local investment. So we'll perform loan servicing, which means that you, with some money, can support your baker, loan money to your baker to buy a new oven. You could loan money to your plumber to fund a plumbing truck. You could loan money to your favorite nephew to pay off his student loans. And Gunnison Community Capital Group will process the payments, calculate the interest, deposit your money in your account, and send everyone a statement. See, they all smile. Okay. So if all of your money is tied up in an IRA or 401k, we can show you how to move your money from Wall Street to Main Street through a self-directed IRA. It's a really simple process. So I want to tell you a little bit about our team. I'm the founder of Gunnison Community Capital Group, and my history with investing involves starting out with mutual funds. In 1990, I invested in my first mutual fund, stayed in the stock market through about 2008, got out mostly before the crash, and I became an accredited investor in about 2005. And in 2008, I became an impact investor with Calvert Foundation's Community Investment Notes. I have a history since 2010 of investing in mortgage lending to low-income families in rural Colorado through my own self-directed IRA. And from 2010 to 2018, I was a hard money lender with Pine Financial Group. So I've sought out alternative investments, and I really know what capital can do for businesses, communities, and families. So also on our team, Lisa Holland is a small business coach, financial professional, and the owner of Zen for Business in Gunnison. Callie Koch is head chef at Tassanong Farms, and she is a former small business owner and Slow Money affiliate. Eric Ferchot is a respected real estate broker with Remax Realty in Gunnison. And Dusty Sylvanson is a builder, a really experienced local builder of high-performance, energy-efficient homes. And Jason Wiener is our attorney in Boulder, Colorado, helping us regulate the really complex regulatory environment of Colorado securities. We also have a database programmer on our team. And recently, we added Carlene White, who used to work for Gunnison Savings and Loan, and in her past had set up a mortgage pool for a nonprofit housing corporation in Rhode Island. So nonprofits are great. Government entities are great. But this powerful team believes that the private sector can solve many of the community's public problems while doing the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So people are kind of like plants. Plants need water during their critical growing phase to thrive and produce fruit. And people, in their critical productive years, people with ideas, people with energy, people with just the drive to get things done, need capital to build a vibrant, local, fruitful economy. So with that, we're calling on you to move your money from Wall Street to Main Street. You can join our email list to follow our progress, find out what's up, learn a little bit more. You can help us identify and spearhead projects in the Gunnison Valley that could benefit from an infusion of local capital. And together, we can do well while doing good. So thank you.
So, hi, here I am. Let's talk about what you're doing, because I think this is really impressive. The part that you talked about that I think is maybe warrants some clarification with the group is accredited versus a non-accredited investor. So what's the difference?
Sure. In a nutshell, accredited investors are high net worth individuals. The technical cutoff is $200,000 a year or $300,000 a year income with your spouse, and $1 million in net assets, excluding your home. But the real kicker is that accredited investors are allowed to invest in non-publicly traded deals, make a lot more financial decisions, invest in startups. If you're a non-accredited investor, there aren't a lot of mechanisms for you to invest in startups. So Gunnison Community Capital Group is doing a lot of work with our attorneys to make it available for non-accredited investors to invest in local projects.
And if I understand correctly, I'm a non-accredited investor, right?
Well, I haven't seen your bank account, Anthony.
Well, a lot of mine have these little dashes in front of the numbers, and I don't know what that means yet.
You know, I used to say that 99% of us were non-accredited investors. It's probably like 82% are non-accredited investors. So.
But a minimum investment that needs to come from an individual that's non-accredited that would be interested.
Oh, in our funds that don't exist yet that I'm not allowed to talk about?
Yeah,
$5,000.
This is not a solicitation for funds and yada,
This is
yada,
not
yada.
a solicitation.
So
no, but the way we
5,000.
structured it, yeah, sure, because when I was a hard money lender and was working in that field, typically a minimum investment for accredited offerings would be $25,000.
Okay.
So we're trying to set it at a level that's accessible so that the community can fund the community's projects.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Together.
So, I told you, like, for each of these people, I got to sit down for a half hour and just, like, what's going on? Tell me all the story, And she told me this, and I was like, what? Like, it can do all these things? And just the solution to affordable housing being something other than the paradigm that we know now is just incredibly powerful to me. And so I am really close to being able to invest in the capital group. Once she's able to accept this, I have $5,000. It's not in U.S. currency yet, but it's going to be there soon. I know this one day. Right now it's Turkish lira. It's like $780 or something like that on a good day. Who just went, haha? Is that really how you laugh? Come on. So questions from our panel.
Nice job.
Thank you. Thanks, Krista.
I am curious, as a potential investor, maybe folks in the audience, what is a return? What does that look like?
And realize that nothing I say should be construed as a solicitation for investment. But so part of my thoughts are, we're in a society where the rich get richer, and I, as an accredited investor, I could be accused of that as well. But the reality is, if we want to build a better society and a more vibrant economy, we need to share the wealth. So the idea of Gunnison Community Capital Group is a low but reasonable rate of return. So our target, if you will, and I know my attorney told me not to go into those details, is 4% on the real estate fund and somewhere between 3 and 5% on the business builder fund. So it will beat what you're getting right now in T-bills. It won't beat what you might get being a hard money lender. That's a rough territory to play in. And so I think you can get a reasonable rate of return, sleep at night, and know that your employees have housing and your neighbors can build their businesses. Okay.
Everybody like what they're hearing? Yeah?
Thanks,
right?
guys.
And of course, none of this should be perceived as a solicitation for services, investment. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Thank you.
Yes, I certainly like what I'm hearing.
Cool.
My concern is if you're accepting investments from non-accredited investors, where is the security? What happens in the event of a default, even on some of those micro loans? And I wonder if you might have the unintended consequence of negating the good that you do through unsecured debt.
Sure, I agree.
The reason that people, that accredited investors are able to access certain instruments is because they're savvier and it's not going to destroy them at the end of the day.
Sure, and I think one way to look at it, Andres, is to consider that this could be part of a diversified portfolio and that non-accredited investors are not non-intelligent investors. So if you know that you have $100,000 saved and that's your total savings, you may not want to put all of that with Gunnison Community Capital Group. Or you might say, I don't want to join your pooled funds because I'm not sure I like ABC business in there, but I found a direct business that I do understand and want to invest in. We can help you with that. So there are risks involved in everything except potentially FDIC insured deposits where you get a whopping 0.5% rate of return. So T-bills are safer. Their rates of return are lower than what we're targeting. The stock market is what's open to most non-accredited investors. If you have your IRA and 401k, you can go in stocks, bonds, CDs, mutual funds. And if you think they're safe, think back to 2008. Or if you look at a lot of the zombie companies right now on Wall Street, their debt is one level above junk bonds. I better calm down because if I get wound up, I'm going to start going on about what I really feel about international finance and national finance.
Cut her
I actually
mic.
think
Cut her mic.
no, but the reality is we're smarter than that. But we recognize that there are risks, and by we, I mean all of us in this room. We understand there are risks out there. There are risks in here. Who do you trust?
And I didn't know until this point that there were actually companies run by zombies, and that is so cool to me.
I know. Get ready for the apocalypse.
The financial apocalypse. Anybody remember 08, 09? Question, please.
The hyperlocal mission is admirable and something that I think myself and a lot of people in this room can identify with. Do you anticipate your investors being local as well? And if not, how are you going to reach them? What's your marketing plan?
Sure. So when we're allowed to market, which isn't yet, we're doing an intra-state direct public offering, which means it's within the state of Colorado. So all of our investors have to reside within the state of Colorado. And it's recommended that we actually do a lot of due diligence there, because if we have a second homeowner who lives in Crested Butte that wanted to invest, but their primary residence is in Texas, we could get in trouble for accepting those funds. So they have to be investors within the state of Colorado. What's interesting to me is, I guess Lisa and I have looked at this move your money from Wall Street to Main Street and what's out there. There are a lot of people who want to move their money and the mechanisms aren't there. So I could anticipate some demand from across Colorado from people who want alternative investments and haven't found those yet. So.
Are there other similar vehicles out there, other community investment models that you're following?
Well, here's what's interesting. The reason that we are pushing the limits is most of this work is either done in the nonprofit space, like CDFIs, community development funds, or it's done in venture capital, which is accredited only. So the reality is we are completely pushing the limits on this. And I'm going through this brain damage because I think it matters. So I would say there's one in Massachusetts, and there's another one. There's two that I know of that are doing this in the for-profit. And we're a PBC, Public Benefit Corporation, which means triple bottom line, but we're in the for-profit sector.
Thank you.
And so also, just for nomenclature, it's the Gunnison Community Capital Group, but it's not just limited to projects in the Gunnison, the city of Gunnison.
No, we won't be limited to investing just in the Gunnison Valley, but that's sure where my heart is. So.
Impressive, right? Yeah. When we asked her how long her talk could be, she said 2 hours. And we said, you got 8 minutes. And so she could do the rest of this 1 hour and 52 minutes. But we can do that in the lobby over some apple wine. I'll bust that out.
Right.
Questions? Other from the panel?
Yeah, where do you draw the proverbial community line? So it's not just limited to Gunnison. Is it Gunnison County? Is it the Western Slope? Is it Colorado? Is it the Intermountain West? I think our sense of community and shared purpose is changed a lot over the past years. And so, I guess I'm curious, like where you're drawing your boundaries.
Sure, that's a good question, Andres. And the other thing, so we have community in the name of our company, Gunnison Community Capital Group, but we also have group in that name. So what's important to me is that the group decides, because if I wanted to run around and invest my IRAs in low-income housing, I've already done that, and I could keep doing that, and that's all about me. So as Gunnison Community Capital Group comes together, we can identify the projects and the vicinity, the area that we want to influence and build up. When I first came to the Business Accelerator, I was asked, what's your model? Is this scalable? Are you going to make it really big? And what I thought was, in my dreams, in my perfect world, we build a system that does local funding locally, say Gunnison County or Western Slope, but it becomes a template for other communities to follow. I don't want to dominate the world. I want to make our community better, and probably West Slope of Colorado.
Could you ever imagine a day when you're commingling funds with like the Chaffee County Capital Group?
I could, yeah. And what's really neat about it, as I've been on this journey of building this company, Colorado Lending Source has said, wow, that's a great idea. Maybe we'll have opportunities to team. And I spoke to Marco with 6 Points Funding and said, well, maybe you guys will round up opportunities and we'll find areas to work together. So I think that I certainly could see us working outside the valley, provided that makes sense to our board and everybody who's involved in this project.
And I would think it's partly driven by how big the fund grows, right? We talked about a threshold that would be meaningful for this community and the projects. Can you share that? Are you allowed to share what that would look like?
I think I'm allowed to share because this comes out of Colorado securities law that we're limited to like $10 million in one public offering. I would be astonished if we, in 12 months, raised $10 million, but if we did, we would figure out how to make this work.
And that it's $5 million per fund, so you're talking the sustainable housing and the business builder is like $5 million and $5 million.
Correct.
Yeah, and so
Yes.
you think that would meet most of the demand for the community?
Well, that is an interesting question because I've already had business owners approach me with fantastic ideas of things that we need that I can't share right now. So would $5 million really infuse this community with the capital we need to build a vibrant economy or enhance our economy? You know, it'd be a good start. The other thing with the direct public offering is it's open for 12 months. You take your $5 million, you close it for 6 months, and you open it for another 12 months. So the fund could continue to grow. That's not a final cap.
Okay, so you can
Just means
start off with a
you
smaller
go
amount.
through, yeah, and you can go through that regulatory process again.
Cool. Any final thoughts, panel? No? Put your hands together, please, for Susan.